Well, Eugene, pretty big weekend ahead for you in King in the Ring. You got 4 fighters up. You normally have quite a big contingent go into these shows. How do you find spacing out the time on the night when you got 4 fighters? Do you have much time to space out?
Yeah, I mean, it's just a matter of organisation and having other good coaches available to help. So it can get pretty hectic, but we do a pretty good job at making sure we've got the right personnel there to take care of them in terms of their warm-up and their build-up that night for the fight. Like we've done it a few times, so we've got them pretty good at, just having the right personnel there and all the timing and all the rest that it takes to get that fighter to the ring.
When we look at the lightweight 8-man, we got Nikora Lee-Kingi and Corey Dunn in there, both quite young guys. Nikora's been there, done that a couple of times, looking for his historical 3rd belt, and Corey, I believe this will be his first 8-man. When you look at, I guess, the next generation, how important are shows like this for producing that local talent?
Oh no, this is one of the most, if not the most important show for producing talent in this country. And regardless of whether that's MMA or boxing or whatever it is, like the amount of eyes and the amount of promotion and the amount of prestige attached to the tournament and the brand is huge. So it lifts you to another level, like locally. And then after that, there's nowhere else to really go but to the next level, which is like international, the local international scene, Australasia, and then so on and so forth. So it's like the start of bigger and better things for a lot of the guys that have kind of built themselves up in New Zealand.
Have you mentioned, I guess, the history potentially on the line for Nikora at all throughout the camp? I believe only Izzy has won 3 King in the Ring belts.
Yeah, he knows for sure, so he'll be able to equal that achievement. But he's also aware that one very proud little thing that we have is this is the most winningest King of the Ring gym, winningest gym in King of the Ring history. So we would like to keep that honour. So the more that we win, is better. That's something we're very proud of because we're proud of the tournament and the prestige that it carries and the respect that it carries. So yeah, Nikora can help retain that achievement. That would be great.
How do things turn for Corey going from the reserve fighter to being in the 8-man? I know that was kind of a short notice change. How does he change his approach to the night, or does he change his approach to the night?
Not really, and what a lot of people don't know was that Corey was actually in the 8-man way back at the start. Then because more guys signed up, and then because we had 2 from one gym, it was fair to take Corey out and put him in the reserve fight and leave Nikora in there. And if you're the reserve fight, you've got to prepare like you're going to be called up into the 8-man anyway. So in terms of his preparation and stuff, that's been for 3 fights. So it makes no difference getting the call up now. And Corey's a young, talented guy. And this tournament has shown that young, talented guys sometimes get the win over the more established guys. And that's what Corey's going to be essentially trying to do. So, and he has the capability to do it. So, yeah, interesting.
Navajo Stirling returns again against James Crawwell. 3rd time, I believe, these guys have fought in maybe Navajo's last 4 fights. Is James Crawwell the only guy you can find to fight Navajo Stirling?
James Crawwell is setting the record straight in terms of how professional fighters and fighters have to act. And James Crawwell is a person that obviously stays ready and is willing to fight anybody at any time. And at the end of the day, what he's sacrificing is he is willing to sacrifice whatever it takes to get better. You don't you get better through two ways in the sport. You get better through training and good quality training, and through fighting. Where most people fail is most young fighters fail is they get too caught up in that they need the most perfect circumstances to fight, and they need an opponent that they can beat. And that will in this sport, that will get you going backwards at a rapid rate of knots. What you need to do is stay fit all year, and if fights come up, you have to be in a position to take them. That's how you get better at the sport. You don't get better at it by watching it. And the sport has got a big problem in it at the moment, and that fighters are only willing to take fights that they think they have a very good chance of winning. That's not James Crawler. James Crawler should be, he's taking the short on short notice. But obviously James Crawler is a person that keeps himself ready to go at any time, and I give him heaps of credit for that.
What is the plan with Navajo moving forward? I know he wants to get a few more MMA fights under his belt. Is it just a matter of taking what you can get with him?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's all it is. Navajo's full-time focuses on MMA. Even for a big part of this camp, he was doing a lot of MMA, and then we switched obviously a lot to the kickboxing side of things. But his main focus is always MMA, but not at the sacrifice of not keeping busy. A fight's a fight, and it still gets you in that mindset, and it's still experience, and it will still help at the end of the day. So I wasn't able to get him an MMA fight. In the immediate future, this fight came up, so we're going to take whatever's available at the moment, and then hopefully this next fight will be MMA again.
And your last fighter on the card, Wendy Talbot, going in against an opponent she's 1-1 with.
Yeah.
What's the excitement like when you do get in a fight like that with an opponent that you know you can beat, but you know that they can beat you?
Yeah, rubber matches are the best. They're like some of the most intriguing matches in the sport because of the familiarity and because they're 1-on-1. It's just so interesting to watch how the teams are going to adjust a few things and how the fighters react to each other, because by the time you hit the third fight, there is some familiarity there, and normally if you look at the rubber matches, that third match is always the best one. So I'm looking forward to that.
Move into UFC, a few boys in action, or at least rumoured action. Izzy, I think, is the only one with a confirmed fight. Yeah. How is he looking in preparation for next month? I suppose it's only a few weeks away now. It's come up very quickly. Izzy's going well. We need the time that we've got to polish off a few things, but I'm happy with his progress. Like I said, we're not going to reinvent the wheel. That would be silly. We felt we did remarkably well in a lot of spots in that last fight. And it's just about trying to build on that. And then that's what we've done. And I think we'll put something together that'll get the job done. Yeah. Has it been, I guess, a little bit of a frustrating watch to watch that fight back, knowing how well Izzy did right until, it was going so well, and then all of a sudden it wasn't? Yeah, of course. It's always frustrating. It's frustrating at the time, it's frustrating now, but we understand the magnitude of what we're trying to do. And one of the hardest things to do in the sport is fight someone like Pereira. For a start, people like Pereira, they don't exist. You will fight in your average career, UFC career, boxing career, you will fight one or two guys, maybe, if you're lucky. You'll fight one George Foreman, one Mike Tyson, one David Tiller, one Alex Pereira. If you're lucky, you'll fight one of them. And it's one of the hardest things to do in the sport. Because even though you see many clear victories, and many clear paths to victory, they have a special gift. And that special gift is powerful. That gift, that ability to take you out and with one shot is something that has to be respected. It's a power this is a superpower that not everybody has. Like I said, you're lucky to even face someone like that in your whole career. And so we understand the magnitude of what we're trying to do, and we're up for the challenge. Does that make your job, I guess, a little bit more fun preparing for these fights, knowing that, this is a guy that you're not going to see very many of?
I think we thrive, this team, these coaches, these athletes, thrive on challenges. And I think the bigger they are, the bigger they lift. That's how the sport works. Like, with more risk comes more reward. If you be conservative all the time and you're always fighting someone you can beat, like I referred to back to these young fellas, you don't actually get better. You probably get better by fighting better guys and losing than you do by fighting the guys and constantly winning. Easy guys are constantly winning. So this team thrives. The bigger the occasion, the bigger the limit, the bigger this team responds. So, yeah.
I've seen Kai Kara France's next fight rumoured to be June against Amir Albazi. Are you able to comment on that or not?
I cannot comment on that.
All right.
But if that fight did happen to happen, that would be a great fight. Kai is fully over any niggly injuries he's had, and he's ready, roaring to go. He's already in the gym. And I'm looking forward to Kai coming back after his unfortunate loss in his title shot.
What was the injury he was dealing with?
He had some minor back troubles and a couple of other aches and pains, but nothing major. And a bit of time off is to help those little nigglies get out of the system. So it's good.
Dan Hooker obviously broke his hand not long before the fight, which would have happened last weekend or the weekend before. How is he? How are his spirits, I guess, after that? I'm pretty sure that's like the first time in about his whole UFC career he's had to pull out because of injury.
Yeah, and I think hasn't stopped training. You'll come in here, you'll see him sparring with one glove on and the other glove on. So he hasn't stopped. He doesn't stop. So hasn't really. Obviously, it's slowed him down because he can only use one hand. But in terms of his mentality and what he wants to achieve and what he wants to do, that hasn't slowed him down one bit. He's actually still just training. He's just doing it with one hand. Was that fight? Didn't Jalen get rebooked?
Yeah, so Jalen fought Gamrot and lost a split decision.
Oh, Jalen lost?
Yeah.
Okay.
So would you be looking at that fight again?
Well, we'd prefer to take the winner, but anyway. But we'll take whoever.
And I guess the other boys, Blood Diamond and Carlos Ulberg, in the gym, staying busy. Are they back soon? Can we expect them back soon?
Yeah, you can. Again, nothing I can really officially announce, but definitely in the works for sure. It's about as big a clue as I can give you, sorry.
Brad Riddell, I've seen, has he moved over to Thailand full time now?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I know he's got some hips on his. I know he's had the surgery on his hip, and it went really well, and he needed to fix that. I think he's thinking about fighting again, but I think he's also just not thinking about it, just fixing the hip. He's going to live in Thailand, chill out, see what happens, get into a bit of training, and just kind of let it evolve. He's going to let it kind of evolve into whatever it is. Yeah. So.
From what you've seen from him after New York, how has the change in, I guess, his happiness been after he, made that decision to step back and take some time for himself?
Look, I hope Brad feels better after the hip surgery and just having time off. I hope he feels better. I felt a way different vibe from Brad. I don't want to talk too much about it. It's a private thing, but yeah, Brad, I don't know. He just didn't act like Brad to me. He was acting like someone else for a while there. And then hopefully just some time off and getting the hip fixed. Hopefully he just starts acting like Brad again, because the Brad I know is one of the top 15 lightweights in the world. So if you can get back to that person, Whatever that takes, that's whatever I hope he finds. Fixing the hip, going back to Thailand, and it might not be training at City Kickboxing either. It might be training back in Thailand on his roots. I don't really care. What I care about is that Brad gets back to himself. That's way more important than where he trains, whether it be Mongolia, New Zealand, Bangkok. Brad just has to find himself again. The guy that I knew that was top 15 lightweight in the world, and that's what I hope he finds.
You had kind of similar sentiments when you spoke to Ravinder on the UFC on Sky show about Shane Young.
Yeah.
He had his fight, obviously didn't get the decision there.
Yeah.
Very close fight.
Yeah.
How was that process for him, and how has he been after that loss? I know he went straight back to Napier pretty much to help clean up.
I think Shane enjoyed the process, and I think the process brought him a lot of peace and serenity in what I would, without going into detail, call a very, what is sometimes a very hostile life that he has, dealing with the things that he has to deal with in his life without going into detail. So I thought it brought him that fight and the process of working towards it brought him some peace and serenity. I hope, should he fight again, that whatever hostility is going on in his life has subsided, because that'll be a better environment for him to have to fight under.
So we're not likely to see him back anytime soon?
Oh, no, I'm hoping the best thing for him to be back as soon as he can get back. Best thing for Shane is always to put his head down in the gym and stay busy.
I guess just lastly, I've seen Tyson Pedro back here already.
Yeah.
Was that a planned thing, he'd come straight back, or is he straight back into fight camp after?
No, I think me and Tyson talked after the fight and we said, look, basically, I don't really want to go into it either, but some things happened leading up to that fight, and the opponent was very good, and we just took that. We're scrubbing that fight out of our memory. And to do that, I needed Tyson to get back in the gym as soon as he can. And also Tyson's a very good partner for Israel for this up-and-coming fight. So it only made sense that he made his way back here really quickly. A big light heavyweight, a lot of reach, aggressive. It was perfect for him to come back. And just, like I said, we're scrubbing that fight out of our memory and carrying on. So the last thing you want to do is stay out of the gym, and what are you going to stay out of the gym celebrating? You lost. Nothing to celebrate. Just get back in the gym and get back to work.
He might have wanted to spend more time with his family. I don't know.
He did, and it's and I hope he brings his family over, and then he can spend time with them. I'm being a bit mean, but his family fully support him and what he does. I've met his wonderful wife and his daughter, and they fully support what he does. And there's some sacrifices that have to be made, and Tyson and his family are making them. So I've asked that he fight as soon as possible. So I hope he gets another fight lined up very soon.